My name is Matt. I live in a rather small town in the Midwest where I work at our local police station. Nothing out of the ordinary happens here like ever. That is, until a few weeks ago. While walking deep in the woods, someone had come across what appeared to be the door to a cellar. Years of neglect had allowed the surrounding brush to grow over the sides of the door. The person cleared the brush away and managed to get the door open. Immediately, an awful stench came out from the cellar and caused the person to vomit. The next thing we knew, we were getting a report to investigate the contents of that cellar. So we went to check it out. It wasn't very deep, only about 6 feet below the ground. The walls were made of cinder block, while the floor remained dirt. It was approximately 12 feet by 12 feet. We found a large portable construction light in the corner of the room that had been hooked up to a car battery. It was focused on a wooden table that stood directly in the middle of the cellar. That's when the discoveries started to get disturbing. The table was saturated with old blood. Tools such as a hammer, a bone saw, and a hatchet were placed on the table. Blood-stained leather straps were secured to the side of the table as well. The cinder block walls had strange symbols drawn sporadically on them in what was clearly blood. On the floor near the wall farthest from the stairs was a cigar box that contained a journal as well as a brown cloth bag full of human teeth. This discovery left our department dumbfounded. However, it was somehow the journal that really made things strange. The following is an excerpt from that journal. It appears to have been started on January 22nd of 2008, although nothing of note occurs until April 23rd of 2008. April 23rd, 2008. Something happened today. Something strange. I was walking to my 7 a.m. shift this morning when I began to feel uneasy. I got that classic someone is watching me feeling. I turned around expecting to see nothing but random strangers walking to work. In fact, that was mostly what I saw. But it wasn't everything. Amongst the strangers stood a figure. It was incredibly tall, towering over the rest of the crowd by what seemed to be at least a foot. It appeared to be wearing a black cloak that covered its entire body, including its face. I say this because it had no discernible features other than a head and shoulders. No face, arms, or legs were visible. It just stood there, despite its utterly blank black face. I could tell it was staring right at me. Is there something deeper than a stare? If so, that is what it was doing. I froze, rooted to the pavement. Finally, it disappeared. It just vanished. I stood confused for what felt like an hour before someone ran into me and knocked me back to reality. I shook it off as nothing and continued to work. Everything was fine until tonight. I worked a double shift today, so I wasn't able to leave until close. At this point, it was roughly 9:30 p.m. It didn't take long into my trek home until I saw it again. The same feeling fell over me as I turned around and I noticed that it was closer. My best estimate would place the entity to be somewhere from 200 to 300 feet behind me. It stopped as I stopped. It walked as I walked. This time I was relatively alone on my block, which filled me with a deep fear that anchored itself into the pit of my stomach. I felt weak in my knees and wanted to pass out. Without thinking, as if by pure instinct, I sprinted away. I ran faster than I have ever ran in my whole entire life. I didn't look back until I reached the steps of my apartment complex. I decided to turn around and look before going through the door. But I saw nothing. As soon as I stepped into my apartment, I began writing this. I need to write it all down, just so that I can see how ridiculous it sounds. I'm already starting to feel better. April 25th, 2008. I had a horrible nightmare last night. I don't even want to remember what happened. The images are still vivid in my head, but I am trying to forget them. I have never dreamt of anything so horrendous in my entire life. I mustn't write down the details so that I can forget. April 25th, 2008. Today was normal for the most part. I only work the night shift. I was hopeful that the events of earlier were finished when nothing out of the ordinary happened yesterday. I was proven to be mistaken when I saw it again today, when I was once again walking back from work. It was closer, now only 100 feet away or so. I ran again, hoping to lose it like I did previously. However, this time it kept up with me. It appeared into the depths of my body as it stood a ways away from my apartment steps. It remained for a minute or two, then disappeared as quickly as it seemed to appear. I have no idea why it stayed with me this time. More updates to come. May 3rd, 2008. It has been a week or more since the last time I saw the figure. I have had the same nightmare every night since I first saw it. It appeared again today while I was riding the subway. I was returning from a trip to the YMCA when I glanced around the subway car and it caught my eye. It was sitting at the other end of the car, staring at me. This time I could finally get a good look at it. I can't even begin to accurately describe what it looked like. It looked as if someone's shadow had pulled itself off the ground and broke free. This time I could make out its arms and legs due to its sitting position. Its head appeared to be turned to me. Its face was completely featureless. I felt deeply unsettled by its appearance. I couldn't get myself to look at its face for more than a few seconds. Every time I did, I was filled with a level of dread and anxiety that I have never felt before. Looking away made the feeling stop, like putting your hand over a flame and pulling it away once the heat became too much to handle. I got off at the first available stop and went straight home to record this. It did not follow me off the subway. May 4th, 2008. It was back today. All day. I had another double shift, so fortunately I was at work all day, which helped drown it out. It appeared outside my apartment as soon as I left for the day and followed me to work. It was only about 20 feet away from me this time. It has been getting closer every time I see it. It stood outside the window at my work for my entire shift. No one noticed it but me. It followed me home as I left and appeared to stop outside of my building. Nothing else happened. 2008, it's in the room with me. It's still here. It stayed with me all day and, this time, did not stop outside my work nor my apartment. Imagine working all day with a 7-foot figure watching your every move. I can stare at it longer now. Its face is still blank. I can tell because it stands only 5 feet away from me. I cannot tell you how I feel at this moment. It is impossible to articulate the fear that runs through me as I write. I am beginning to accept that it is not going to go away. I fear sleep because I know I will see those things again. That I will experience the same nightmare. At this point in time, the handwriting changes dramatically. It is more frenzied, less meticulous, and overall much more difficult to understand. The following entries were interpreted to the best of our department's abilities. May 28, 2008. It has been a while since I have used my journal. I just haven't had the motivation. This thing won't leave. It has now left my side in almost a month. I quit my job. I can't keep working in this mental state. I can't shake it and I can't ignore it. The feeling of fear encompasses me at all times. I sit in my room and watch movies all day to try and forget about it. Today, it began to whisper. I cannot understand it, but it is undeniably speaking to me. May 29, 2008. The whispers are getting louder. I can make out a few words here and there. My updates will become more frequent due to the fact that I no longer have the motivation to do anything but sit. May 29, 2008. The whispers are becoming more clear. I can't do it. I won't. May 30th, 2008, can no longer sleep. I suppose this is a good thing. I will no longer have the nightmare. It is speaking at full volume now. It is apparent that it is not actually speaking out loud. Rather, it is speaking to me inside of my own head. Any attempt I make to drown out the voice is fruitless. It has demands. I have sworn that I will not do what it asks. May 30th, 2008, the voice continues. It tells me that if I do what it asks, then it will stop. But I can't. I won't. June 1st, 2008. It is screaming now. I have not been able to sleep in days. I have become desperate to stop the noise. Self-mutilation does no good. I have not left the house. My appetite is almost completely gone, despite not eating in days. I will waste away to nothing before I do what it asks. June 3, 2008. I had to. Please do not judge me. I had no choice. The voice, it wouldn't stop. It led me to the child. To the forest. It told me where to dig. It told me what to do. I had to do what it asked. I no longer feel anything. I can't get the memories out of my head. I did not know I was capable of such things. When I did what it asked, it stopped for a while to grant me sleep. For a few hours I was free. I had no nightmare. No dreams. Just nothing. I will do whatever it takes to get that feeling back. June 6, 2008. It has told me the truths. It has told me the secrets. It tried to show me before through my nightmares, but I did not understand. Now I do. I know now that what I have done was good. Just know that this is not the end. When it is done with me, it will find another. And when I finally die, I will be rewarded for what I have done. The remaining 48 pages of the journal are filled with unrecognizable and completely unknown writing, symbols, and drawings. No one has any clue on how to interpret what language is being used, as well as what the symbols mean. The drawings range from the innocence, like a wilted flower, to the grotesque, like severed limbs, detailed acts of violence. It became clear right away that we were not going to be able to figure out what had taken place in that cellar. The crime scene appeared to be much too dated to gather any serviceable data from. The condition of the crime scene, the dates in the journal entry, and the amount of brush covering the entrance showed that the cellar had not been used in years. The case is clearly way above the pay grade of our small police department, and far beyond our means to solve. As a result, most of the department simply wants to cover it up and pretend like they never saw it. I can't blame them, personally. The reality of the situation was that something horrible took place in that cellar, and that we would probably never know who did it. Over the past couple of weeks, almost everyone has moved on. Except for me. Which is why I'm writing this. I can't get it out of my head. I've even started seeing things. Weird things that I can't explain. There is one line from the journal in particular that has been keeping me up at night. When it is done with me, it will find another. I can't shake the feeling that this isn't over. Maybe it's because I saw something the other day. Something that I know is true, but I can't admit. Something that if it were true, would mean that I am just as crazy as whoever wrote that journal. Please, if anyone is reading this and knows anything about what is going on, help me. I am all out of options.